The Senate will come to order. Senator Young,
Mr. President, I impose a call of the Senate.
the Senate is now under call. Senator Murphy.
Good morning, Mr. President. I move that further proceedings under the roll call be dispensed with and that the Sergeant at Arms be instructed to bring in the absent members.
On that motion, all in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion prevails. Members, if you'd be so kind as to stand. Members, we start with prayer, and there are times when we start with a chaplain, and then from time to time, I ask for you to take a moment to reflect. Today is going to be one of those days where I'm going to ask you as members to pause for a moment of silence and prayer and reflection. A couple of things I'd like for you to at least think about, because I think now is a really good time for us to reflect. One is we know that there's been fires in northern Minnesota, and we know that there are families that are suffering in more ways than one. And even if there's a family that wasn't directly affected by the fire, they're indirectly affected because they are community and they are connected by their human spirit. Second thing, I know that this is graduation season, and some of our young people, whether they're in high school or college, they're feeling a sense of anxiety as to what the next step is going to be. Sometimes the most anxiety is felt when it centers around the unknown. And so kids and adults are feeling that anxiety. And so I would love for you to reflect, because reflection is always good for us to center ourselves in a moment of just peace and reflecting on sometimes the goodness that you've experienced or the challenge that you've experienced or someone in your life who might be experiencing some challenges around their health. But this is a moment to reflect and say your own prayer if you so choose. So with that being stated, please take a moment of silence. Please take a moment to pause and reflect. Thank you, members. Now for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much, members. The Secretary will now take the roll.
Abler, Anderson, Barr, Bolden, Carlson, Champion, Clark, Coleman, Swadzinski, Dames, Dibble, Dornick, Draheim, Drazkowski, Duckworth, Farnsworth, Fateh, Frentz, Green, Grunhagen, Gustafson, Hoschild, Herr, Heinzman, Hoffman, Housley, Howe, Jasinski, Johnson, Johnson-Stewart, Klein, Coran, Kroon, Kunish, Kupek, Lang, Latz, Liskey, Limmer, Lucero, Mann, Marty, Matthews, Mayquaid, McEwen, Miller, Mitchell, Muhammad, Murphy, Nelson, Umuverbaten, Pappas, Pa, Port, Pratt, Putnam, Rarick, Rasmussen, Rest, Seeberger, Utke, Weber, Wiesenberg, Westland, Westrom, Wickland, Jiang.
Members, a quorum is present. The following members intend to vote from a remote location under Rule 40.7. Senator Mann. Members, if you want to follow along, I'm reading from today's Senate agenda, which is dated Sunday, May 18th, 2025. We will begin at the third order of business, messages from the House. The Secretary will read the first message.
Mr. President, I have the honor to announce that the House has adopted the recommendation and report of the Conference Committee on Senate File Number 1959 and repassed said bill in accordance with the report of the committee so adopted. Senate File Number 1959, a bill for an act relating to state government, establishing a budget for the Department of Military Affairs and the Department of Veterans Affairs. Senate File Number 1959 is herewith returned to the Senate, signed Patrick Duffy Murphy, Chief Clerk, House of Representatives.
Members, no action is required. The Secretary will read the next message.
Mr. President, I have the honor to announce that the House has adopted the recommendation and report of the Conference Committee on Senate File Number 2370 and repassed said bill in accordance with the report of the committee, so adopted. Senate File Number 2370, a bill for an act relating to cannabis. Senate File Number 2370 is herewith returned to the Senate. Signed, Patrick Duffy Murphy, Chief Clerk, House of Representatives.
Again, members, no action is required. The Secretary will read the next message.
Mr. President, I have the honor to announce that the House has acceded to the request of the Senate for the appointment of a conference committee consisting of 4 members of the House on the amendments adopted by the House to the following Senate file. Senate File Number 1740, a bill for an act relating to education policy. There has been appointed as such committee on the part of the House Jordan, Hill, Bennett, and Lawrence. Senate File Number 1740 is herewith returned to the Senate. Signed, Patrick Duffy Murphy, Chief Clerk, House of Representatives.
Again, members, no action is required. We will now proceed to the 8th order of business, which is introduction and first reading of Senate bills. The bills listed on today's introduction calendar are given their first reading and referred as indicated. We will now proceed to the 9th order of business, which is motions and resolutions. We will adopt the author's motion as one motion. All in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion prevails. Remaining under motions and resolutions, Senator Murphy to designate special orders.
Mr. President, pursuant to Rule 26, I designate the following bills be made special orders for your immediate consideration.
Members, as so eloquently articulated by Senator Murphy, there is a special orders list that is on your desk. And we will begin from that list with Senate File 2884, Senator Frentz, which is the Omnibus pension bill. Senator Frentz.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, members. Very proud to present to you the 2025 Minnesota Pension Omnibus Bill, Senate File 2884. Members, if you have any teachers or police officers or firefighters or paramedics in your district, this bill is a big win for them. With passage of this bill, those Minnesotans that keep us safe and educate our kids will get a significant retirement improvement. There's also policy improvements in the bill that include secure choice, changes to amortization, MSRS, multiplier, work groups for Firefighter Relief Association provisions, and a probation officer study group. It also includes a duty disability provision, which I'll talk about more in a minute. Mr. President, it's customary for us to thank those that make these bills possible. I'd like to start by thanking the nonpartisan Legislative Commission on Pension and Retirement staff, Susan Lincheski, Alina Wilson, and Lisa Dieslin. Outstanding staff abounds here in the Minnesota Senate. These are amongst the finest, and I want to thank them for their work. I also want to thank the partisan staff for both the GOP and for the DFL. Pensions is not for everybody, but if you know anybody that wants to stop working and enjoy a good retirement, it's as important as any of the work that we do. And thank you to all of them. A special thank you to Ryan Majerus, who serves as the DFL Senate researcher for pensions. Thank you, Ryan. You've done an outstanding job. But the greatest thanks go to the members of the Legislative Commission on Pension and Retirements. As many of you know, the LCPR is bipartisan and bicameral. We meet to make recommendations to the legislature, and the members of LCPR on both sides of the aisle are outstanding. Those members include the Republican lead, Senator Jeff Howe, Senator Jordan Rasmussen, Senator Nelson on the DFL side, my colleagues, Senator Westland, Senator Seeberger, and Senator Pappas, who serves as the senior member of the Senate Delegation on Pension. And a quick thank you to Senator Pappas for reminding us last night, as the Pension Commission spent over 3 hours passing this bill, that sometimes it's a good thing to take a little more time to talk those things through and make sure that we get it right. With that, Mr. President, to the bill. Members, in a time when we're cutting state spending, the bill represents an $80 million base funding target. That is $80 million per biennium to improve the retirement accounts of Minnesotans covered by the bill. To all those who worked to reconcile the budget targets between the House and Senate versions, thank you. Teachers, thank you. Police officers, thank you. Firefighters and paramedics, thank you. Without the base funding, the improvements that are so critical in this bill would not be possible. To the improvements themselves, the heart and soul of this bill is the great news and victory for those Minnesotans who received a pension benefit improvement. First, in public safety, represented by parapolice and fire, The problem for these Minnesotans is a 3-year cost of living delay once they retire. Inflation running high means it eats away at their buying power. We do not want that, and it violates one of our base pension principles, which is that our retirees not lose purchasing power. The 3-year delay is mitigated in the bill, taking a year sooner to provide those cost of living increases. The also has a 2026 3% payment of a cost of living increase, and then allows that retiree to build on that 3% with all future cost of living increases. So it gives them significant money for cost of living and then allows us to build on that going forward. The cost of that para, police, and fire provision is $17,700,000. For our state patrol brothers and sisters, these are the people that go to the auto accident scenes, deliver death notices to the family where appropriate, and save tons of lives by the simple work they do in public safety. A cost of living increase to 1.25% for every retiree for their life after retirement, a significant improvement. Thank you to the State Patrol for working to get this deal together. The cost of that, members, is $2.3 million. The total general fund cost for public safety then per year is $20 million. I don't know if any members of the Minnesota Senate have any teachers in their districts, but in case you do, there is a significant victory for your teachers. Regardless of what political party you're a member of, regardless of how many children you send through the schools, public or private, teachers drive our education, and they are having a major victory here. It is to those teachers that we say, thank you for your partnership as we work through this. Thank you to Senator Heather Gustafson, who carried the bill for teacher pensions. And here now, the news. Teachers will get a career rule. Full stop. Members, you've received these emails from your constituents saying we have to have a career rule. The reason they have to have it is that they deserve it and they know it. The career rule is a 60-30. Don't tell me you didn't get an email in your inbox that said, please pass the 60-30 career rule, because you did. From North Minneapolis to North Mankato to Fergus Falls, your teachers want this to pass, and they want to pass it now. In the educator portion, the enhanced early retirement lowers the reduction percentage of the penalty from 6 to 5% and deletes all COLA exemptions. What does that fancy pension speak mean? Here's what it means. Some teachers got an exemption for the cost of living increase, and teachers are willing to give that up in exchange for the benefits in this bill. Why do you care? Because teachers have skin in the game in this bill. It's not simply the state funding. It's not simply the TRA funding, which I'll tell you about in a minute. It's them themselves saying our teachers, on behalf of active and retired educators, will sacrifice to see this bill come home. And finally, members, teachers' retirement account. That's the silo of about $26 billion that serves to protect the retirement promises we make to our teachers. A loud and hearty thank you to the TRA board members who, in the span of the last 48 hours, approved absorbing 0.24, essentially saying we will take the extra money we have and help pay for this career rule, without which, members, the career rule in front of you could not become law. And TRA's board approved it, allowing an additional $17 million. The bottom line on the educator pension improvement is that it is a $37 million per year benefit, providing significant relief. And make no mistake about this, members, it's not just those teachers that will choose to use the 60-30 rule to retire. It's every teacher who can now consider it and decide whether it is best for them. St. Paul teachers, who we'll talk about later in this floor debate, gave themselves a career rule 2 years ago and reported to us, not only is it successful for the teachers that chose that, but to know they have it in their back pocket. Let's tell educators that their retirement situation is important to us by passing the bill. Among the provisions that are included in this bill are the Senator Seeberger amendment on duty disability. I'm assuming we'll have a little discussion about that, but members, the provisions in this bill will protect the para, police, and fire fund from going down. We do not want funds to go down. We want to fund them successfully, and we want to meet the promises that we make to our Minnesotans who keep us safe. These are the police and fire and paramedics in your district who have said we have a problem with duty disability. The change in the duty disability language is very simple. If a member of Minnesota Public Safety goes out on duty disability, they receive the full wage replacement and they receive 5 years of health care. Cities, counties, firefighters, paramedics are all in support of this and have indicated that publicly. MPPOA, who I personally work hard to support and respect each and every member, had a board vote in which the amendment was not supported 6-5. And for you members who are asking why is it before us, there's one simple reason. We agreed to take it to the members of the Legislative Commission on Pension and Retirement, explain what had happened. Senator Seeberger was as confident and bold and direct and to the point as I'm guessing she is as a paramedic, and guess what happened? Overwhelmingly, Republican and Democrat members of LCPR voted for this language. Therefore, it is before you. Members, I'm asking you to support this year's pension omnibus bill, and I can't imagine a legislator who has a district where there aren't people watching right now looking at their state senator and saying, please, please get this passed off the floor. Please do not accept any amendments. Please pass this so I can sleep better at night knowing my retirement is protected. A friend of mine, former Senator Paul Anderson, uttered some words on the floor of this body when I was a freshman. We tell ourselves we support police and fire. We tell ourselves we're there for public safety. And when we say that, we better ask ourselves what a no vote on a bill like this would mean. With that, Mr. President, I would appreciate members' yes vote on Senate File 2884. Thank you.
Senator Howe.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. And I want to thank Senator Frentz for running a good bipartisan commission. I think we were handicapped from the start. Because of the delay. It really caused I don't think we had enough time to discuss, Mr. President, everything that in detail that we needed to have. And I think that was brought up last night when the reason we had 3 hours of late night discussion is because there were some awfully good amendments last night that weren't accepted just because we didn't have the time to get the right information. And I think they probably would have been a little bit better amendments than what we put on, but we just didn't have the time to get the information right and get that detail that we needed. You know, the things that are missing in here, to me, is the St. Paul teachers didn't get included. They didn't get anything out of this this pension bill, and I think that's missing. I think that we should have treated everyone with an equal hand to give them what they needed to have. I think there's other problems. I don't think this duty disability bill has everything it needs. As you know, I worked hard on the duty disability for the last few years. In fact, I worked on it a little bit again this year. But and this is close. But I think a little bit more time on the front end of this, we could have made this the right bill instead of almost the right bill. But I do want to say the staff of the LCPR is above all. They do a great job, and I want to commend them on the extra hard work and the long hours they putting this bill together. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Rasmussen.
Thank you, Mr. President. A good teacher can change someone's life. And I had that happen to me in the first grade. Because of some vision issues I had trouble reading in the first grade. And I had a first grade teacher who came in early, stayed late to make sure that I got the education I needed to be successful. And if it wasn't for that first grade teacher and many other great educators, I don't think I'd have the opportunity to serve in this body today. And what I've appreciated about the teachers that I've had in my life is that they view their success as their students' success. And even after you're long out of their classroom, they still are there cheering you on. Mr. President, the bill before us makes important improvements for Minnesota's public school teachers. And it builds on bipartisan work that Senator Pratt and Representative Nadeau worked on, and I'm glad to see these benefit improvements in this bill. But Mr. President, one challenge is that these benefits are not fully paid for. And that was one of the issues that came up at the Pension Commission yesterday. The benefits in the bill are about $40 million per year, but there's only $20 million per year in funding. And so what that means is that we're shortchanging Minnesota's teachers. We're creating an unfunded liability. We're kicking the can down the road and putting teachers at risk in the future, Mr. President. And this, unfortunately, has happened to teachers before. If you go back to 1989, when the Rule of 90 debate happened and the bill was, Rule of 90 was created and ended on the same day, teachers today are still paying for that unfunded liability. And so, Mr. President, I think it's important that we accomplish the teacher benefit improvements in this bill. I also think that this legislature needs to put the money where our mouth is, and we need to make sure that we aren't shortchanging teachers. And so with that, Mr. President, I'd like to offer the A51.
Senator Rasmussen offers the A51 amendment. The Secretary will report the A51 amendment.
Senator Rasmussen moves to amend Senate File Number 2884 as follows. Page 91, line 11, before appropriations, insert. This is the A51 amendment.
Senator Rasmussen to your A51.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would request a roll call.
Roll call requested, roll call granted. Senator Rasmussen.
Thank you, Mr. President. The A51 is quite simple. It adds an additional $20 million per year into our teacher pension system. That would fully pay for the benefit increases that are included in this bill, make sure that we're not creating unfunded liabilities for the plan and for teachers in the future. Mr. President, it also represents what we typically do in the Pension Commission, which is recognizing that St. Paul teachers also deserve to be a part of the conversation. And so the amendment before the body has about $19 million in additional direct state aid to the Teachers Retirement Association and about $1 million going into St. Paul teachers. It fully funds the benefits. It makes sure that these benefit improvements are sustainable so that we're not coming back in future years and having to make tough decisions like this legislature has before. I'd ask for member support of this to fully fund the teacher benefit improvements in the bill.
Senator Frentz.
Mr. President, Senator Rasmussen, thank you. Senator, obviously this amendment would put the budget target in a different place. I cannot support it. I cannot ask members to come up with an extra $20 million, and obviously $20 million more on this bill will mean $20 million less somewhere else. I would ask members to vote no on the amendment, Mr. President.
Senator Klein.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to ask you to consider in your role as President Rule 7.2 of our Senate rules, and specifically the sentence that says subsequent adjustments to the targets required under this rule must be made by public announcement of the chair, et cetera, et cetera. The bills that are specified as being subject to the targets are not the bill that's in front of us today, but I would argue for your consideration, Mr. President, that taking $20 million from the general fund will adjust those targets to these other omnibus bills. And hence, I would offer that the A51 is in violation of Rule 7.2.
Thank you, Senator Klein.
Advice, Mr. President.
The point of order is not well taken. Senator Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I rise in support of the Rasmussen amendment. While I believe there was strong unison about the need to improve the TRA benefit, I too was concerned that the proposal before us has not fully been paid for. And it actually extends out the amortization of when the TRA will be fully funded. And that is a danger for TRA members. And so I think it is prudent and wise to make sure that the benefit is fully paid for, as in the A51 amendment. And also, members, as we do know, we have a history of what happens when we try to do pensions on the cheap. This happened years ago before I was here, and we still are paying, we call it that 20-year big red box that has been plaguing the St. Paul Teachers Federation, Teachers Union. And that's because we tried to promise things without paying for them. And that is a disaster when it comes to pensions. So I stand in support of the A51, that we will fully fund the teacher pension improvements before us today. I encourage a yes vote.
Senator Duckworth.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate it. I'm very supportive of this amendment, and I'll explain why. I promise to do it briefly. In opening remarks, we were reminded of the many emails as legislators that we receive, specifically from teachers or educators as it relates to their pensions, among a host of other things. And what I can guarantee you is this isn't the only year we received those emails. As a matter of fact, I think the most emails I ever received from teachers and educators regarding their pensions was over the last 2 years, when the state had a $19 billion surplus that could have been used to fully fund and fix that issue. I am talking about pensions, Mr. President.
Members, I'm going to gently remind us that I'm not going to let us go off too far. Under the rules, we are to debate what is before the body. Anything else outside of that, I'm going to be very strict about. So, Senator Duckworth, you are going a little far-fledged. What is before the body is the A51. So if you want to make your arguments and comments directed to that, that would be most appreciative. Thank you for your consideration.
Absolutely. And I believe the amendment talks about funding teacher pensions to the tune of $20 million, hence my comments, Mr. President. And so if we're going to have a vote on whether or not we're going to continue to fund teacher pensions at the levels that they have requested, as was mentioned in the opening remarks by the bill's author, then this amendment would be an easy vote. If we're trying to fix issues regarding educators and help them plan financially for their futures and make sure that their pension is going to be financially healthy, this would be an easy green vote. The only difference between now and then is now we have a $6 billion deficit. This is probably something that could have been solved in previous sessions. And so this amendment seeks to solve it today. And I would urge members to have memories long enough to know that this has been an issue for quite some time. And by voting green on the amendment before them, they can put their money where their mouth was and actually support teachers in the funding of their pensions. Thank you.
Senator Lucero.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you to the great teachers across this wonderful state. I appreciate the conversations that I've had with the St. Francis area school teachers, with the Rockford area school teachers, with the Elk River school district teachers, with the St. Michael Albertville school district teachers, and as a member of the Education Finance Committee, with the many teachers that are not in the community that I serve, but across the state. And each of these conversations has one resounding theme, and that is the state of Minnesota has made promises to the hardworking teachers across this state, and those promises are not being fulfilled in terms of the pension and retirement. Our teachers are feeling that the promises made are not being kept. It is disingenuous to offer a bill that makes a commitment but doesn't fund it. For that reason, I am strongly in favor of the Rasmussen amendment that actually funds those obligations to the wonderful teachers, and I encourage a green vote. Thank you.
Senator Pappas.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Senator Frentz, for putting together and all our conferees, our members of our committee, such an amazing bill. I just wanted to speak briefly to the St. Paul teachers provision. I appreciate, Senator Rasmussen, your consideration. It is true that St. Paul teachers would not be covered in this bill, and it is unfortunate. I did consult with the head of the St. Paul Teachers Union, and she told me that she's okay with this, that St. Paul has a career rule in place that they are paying for themselves. So I hope that we can revisit this issue in the future, but for now, it's I don't want to I think this bill is very important for all the teachers of the state, and we need to pass this, even though St. Paul teachers would not be included.
Any other discussion before we go to the author of the amendment? Seeing none, Senator Rasmussen, you have the last word before we vote on the A51 amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I appreciate the robust discussion. And just to make sure members are clear, a yes vote gives $20 million more per year to fund teacher benefits, to make sure that our teachers are secure in their retirement and that we are fulfilling the promises that are made in this bill. A red vote, a no vote, is saying that we are going to kick the can down the road. We're going to shortchange Minnesota's teachers, and we're going to create future problems for teachers going forward. So I'd encourage members' support. Thank you.
The Secretary will take the roll on the A51 Rasmussen amendment. Senator Bowden, for those voting pursuant to Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Mann votes no.
Senator Mann votes no.
Senator Fate votes no.
Senator Fate votes no.
And Senator Pa votes no.
Senator Pa votes no. Senator Senator Jasinski, for those voting pursuant to Rule 40.7.
Thank you, President Champion. Senator Miller votes aye.
Senator Miller votes aye.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Coleman votes aye.
And Senator Coleman votes aye. All senators having voted who desires to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 33 ayes and 34 noes, the A51 Rasmussen amendment is not adopted. Senator Rasmussen.
Thank you, Mr. President. And while that's disappointing to see that the Minnesota Senate isn't going to be fully funding teacher pensions today, there is one other issue that I want to highlight that is in this bill. Included in the bill before the body is an increase in benefits for legislative pensions. And Mr. President, I don't feel comfortable having a bill that increases the benefits for legislative pensions while we are shortchanging Minnesota's teachers, and so I'd like to offer the A50.
Senator Rasmussen offers the A50 amendment. The Secretary will report the A50 amendment.
Senator Rasmussen moves to amend Senate File Number 2884 as follows. Page 1, Line 5, delete legislators and unclassified retirement plans and insert. This is the A50 amendment.
Senator Rasmussen, to your A50 amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would request a roll call.
Roll call requested, roll call granted. Senator Rasmussen.
Thank you, Mr. President. The A50 removes the COLA increase for legislative pensions that's in the bill, and it takes that funding and it reallocates it on a pro rata basis to the Teachers Retirement Association and to St. Paul teachers. Mr. President, I know it's not a lot of money, but I think it shows a sign of good faith that we're not going to have a bill that increases the pensions for legislators while we're shortchanging Minnesota's teachers and creating unfunded liability in the future. I would ask for members' support.
Senator Frentz to the A50 amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Senator Rasmussen. I'm receiving some texts about Minnesota teachers and what they do and do not want us to vote for, and I'll just say I share your feeling that we should not be taking votes that they're going to be disappointed in. With that, Mr. President, I would ask that members vote no, support the bill as it's written, and defeat the amendment. Thank you, Mr. President.
Any other discussion before we go to the author of the amendment? Senator Klein.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will Senator Frentz yield?
Senator Frentz, will you yield? He will yield. Senator Klein.
Senator Frentz, is it the case that if we were to adopt this amendment at this time as proposed before us, the likelihood of passing teacher pension relief this session would drop dramatically and teachers would not receive the pension benefits that they've been asking for us all session?
Senator Frentz, to the question.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator Klein. Now that you mention it, that's exactly the kind of text I'm receiving, which is teachers worried that amendments that go on the bill would make it more difficult to see it pass before the end of the regular session. That's why, Senator Klein, I'll be a no on this amendment and any amendments which increase the likelihood that teachers, police, fire, and paramedics don't get what they want and get it off the Senate floor today.
Senator Rasmussen, you're the last voice we'll hear before we vote on your A50 amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I didn't hear a good reason to vote no. We have a choice here today, members. Do we want to put legislative pensions ahead of Minnesota's teachers? This amendment would show that we would rather prioritize dollars going into Minnesota teachers' pension plans versus having an increase for the legislators' retirement plan. It's a simple amendment. It doesn't delay this bill at all. We'll be voting on this bill today and sending it to the House. I think this is a common sense amendment. It shows where our priorities are, and I would encourage a yes vote.
The Secretary would take the roll on the A50 Rasmussen amendment. Senator Broden, for those voting pursuant to Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Mann votes no.
Senator Mann votes no.
Senator Fate votes no.
Senator Fate votes no.
And Senator Pa votes no.
And Senator Pa votes no.
Mr. President.
Senator Jasinski, for those voting pursuant to Rule 40.7.
Senator Coleman votes aye.
Senator Coleman votes aye.
Senator Miller votes aye.
Senator Miller votes aye. All senators having voted who desires to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 33 ayes and 34 nays, the A50 Rasmussen Amendment is not adopted. Senator Rasmussen.
Thank you, Mr. President. One of the other issues that I just want to bring up to the body here today is that the staff of the Teachers Retirement Association, they're paid out of money that teachers and their employers pay into the pension plan. And I think especially, given the fact that there's some unfunded liability that's in this bill, we need to make sure that salaries are appropriate for staff at the TRA, and so I'd like to offer the A52.
Senator Rasmussen offers the A52 amendment. The Secretary will report the A52.
Senator Rasmussen moves to amend Senate File Number 2884 as follows. Page 85, after line 11, insert. This is the A52 amendment.
Senator Rasmussen to your A52 amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President. Now I would request a roll call.
Roll call requested, and a roll call is granted. Senator Rasmussen.
Thank you, Mr. President. This amendment just makes clear that the salary of the executive director for TRA cannot exceed the salary of the governor. I think especially because this is being paid for by dollars that teachers are putting in, I think it's reasonable for us to have a cap, and I think the governor makes a good salary, and that would be a reasonable restriction to put in state statute. I would ask for member support.
Senator Frentz to the A52 Rasmussen amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Senator Rasmussen. I'd ask members to vote no. Have not seen this amendment before. Was not brought in the Pension Commission before. Teachers, cop, firefighters, and paramedics are not asking for, and to the Senator Klein point earlier, threatens the ability of the bill to become law by the end of the regular session. For all those reasons, members, I'd suggest a no vote on the A52 amendment.
Any other discussion before we go to the author of the A52? Seeing none, Senator Rasmussen to your A52 amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, we already have language in state statute about how the salary for the executive director of TRA is set. This would just say that it can't exceed that of the governor. We need to be prudent with the dollars that are sitting within teachers' pensions and make sure that it's going to their benefits and not to salary increases. I would encourage members' support.
The secretary would take the roll on the A52 Rasmussen amendment. Senator voting, for those voting pursuant to Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Mann votes no.
Senator Mann votes no.
Senator Fate votes no.
Senator Fate votes no.
And Senator Pa votes no.
And Senator Pa votes no. Senator Jasinski, for those voting pursuant to Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Coleman votes aye.
Senator Coleman votes aye.
Senator Miller votes aye.
Senator Miller votes aye. All members having voted, who desires to vote, the secretary will close the roll. There have been 33 ayes and 34 nays. The A52 Rasmussen amendment is not adopted. Senator Howell.
Thank you, Mr. President. My concern, my biggest concern with this bill is with the duty disability piece. And I will guarantee you that no one in this chamber has received more emails and phone calls than I have about this issue. And with that, I do believe that the biggest concern I heard of out there is that if you can imagine a firefighter that gets burnt badly and cannot return back to being a firefighter, but it's not bad enough to where he's determined permanent and total, but he is permanent and partial disabled. Or those folks, like the troopers and the law enforcement people that may be at an accident scene or pulling someone over and gets hit by the side of the road, may be permanently disabled, but not totally disabled. They can work somewhere else, but they cannot return and put a badge on and work as a police officer again. So, and then we have those that have PTSD, the psychological disabled. And I think there needs to be a line drawn between the psychological disability and the permanent but not total physical disability. So with that, Mr. President, I'm going to offer the A53 amendment.
Senator Howe offers the A53 amendment. The secretary will report the A53 amendment.
Senator Howe moves to amend Senate File Number 2884 as follows. Page 92, delete Section 1 and insert. This is the A53 amendment.
Senator Howe to your A53 amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President. What this does is draws a distinction between permanent and partially disabled physically and those permanent psychological disabled. It makes a distinction between those. I shouldn't say permanent psychological, but those that are psychologically disabled and those that have other physical disabilities. And so with this, those that would have a permanent partial disability, not total, would continue to get their health care benefits until age 65. Those with a psychological disability would get it until they get the 60 months that is agreed to in the underlying bill. So, Mr. President, that is the deal. That is what I'm trying to do, is actually fix what I heard most about out there. And that, I hope, with this would be accepted as a friendly amendment, because I do believe that if we're going to do this, we need to do this piece right. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Frentz to the A53 amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I would like to ask for a roll call.
Roll call requested, roll call granted.
Mr. President, Senator Howe, members, first things first. Senator Howe, you have been an outstanding advocate on the duty disability space, and I'm very proud of the stuff we have in this bill, so thank you for your work. Second, I don't like to do this, but I'm going to agree. You have definitely received more emails than I have on this matter. Having said that, this particular change would not be consistent with the bill that we've agreed to. It would make a distinction between members of the public safety community and, needless to say, would disrupt the path of the bill, again, to Senator Klein's point. For that reason and the other reasons, members, I'd ask for a no vote on the A53 amendment. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Liskey.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, will Senator Frentz yield for a question?
Senator Frentz, will you yield? He will yield. Senator Liskey.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator Frentz. Senator Frentz, is there a reason that we are doing this at the final hour other than because we pushed it out, or do you think that this might have had an impact where we took 3 weeks off at the beginning of the year in the other body?
Senator Frentz.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator Liskey. The main reason for the compression of the time we have to pass this bill has to do with the leadership targets which were announced, as you know, just a couple days ago. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator Liskey.
Senator Liskey.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I believe that those targets were pushed so far out because, of course, we didn't have 3 weeks at the beginning of session where the other body was participating in the legislative process. So whether we want to blame the targets or anything else, it's still based on the fact that the other body didn't start until 3 weeks after the rest of us came to work. My concern is that Senator Howe, who has been working very hard on duty disability, and I will attest to that because I am on the other side of the issue, taking away rights or benefits of the workers that have gone through a pretty drastic and severe thing to cause them disability, whether it's mental or physical, deserve to have health care taken care of. And so when we take that away from them after it's something that they'd agreed to when they signed up for the job, it's not correct. I think I appreciate Senator Howe's amendment or attempt at fixing what's going on. I still don't know if I fully support his amendment, but I definitely support his amendment over what's going on in the underlying bill. Thank you.
Senator Howell, to your amendment.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I do believe that this is the correct answer, but I will, Mr. President, after all this discussion, and I truly have all the faith in the world that this is the answer that would bring much of the law enforcement community back together on this issue. But with that, Mr. President, I already know the outcome of this, so I will withdraw the A53.
The A53 has been withdrawn. Any other amendments? Seeing none, the Secretary will give the bill its third reading.
Senate File Number 2884, a bill for an act relating to retirement, Minnesota State Retirement System, making administrative changes, etc.
Third reading. Any final comments before we vote? Senator Duckworth.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate it. I think it's interesting, as some of the amendments were discussed earlier, the sidestepping and I would even phrase it as fear-mongering was quite remarkable. We were told we can't even propose amendments that would improve the bill or improve the pension outcome for educators because it could potentially kill the bill. That's absolutely ridiculous. The chance for us to have those conversations and to make those proposals and vet them out is right here on the floor when the bill is before us, if we haven't been able to be successful before that. We've had hundreds of teachers laid off from school districts over the last couple of years after record historic funding, or more specifically, after record mandates. The governor even proposed coming after Q-comp pay for teachers. You can imagine the outreach was pretty tremendous when teachers were worried about seeing their pay take a hit substantially. And so, Mr. President, I don't know where else we can have the conversation about the financial of the state and what it was not that long ago, sitting on $19 billion in surplus versus $6 billion of deficit, and how we were teed up to hit a grand slam and fix a teacher pension issue, and we didn't even take a swing. And now here we are trying to say, let's make sure that the pension is at least financially in good shape and health in the future, and we're told you can't even have that conversation because if you do, you might jeopardize this bill. Trying to scare teachers and educators into thinking we can't even have conversations about trying to help them, their loved ones, when it comes to their financial situation and their livelihood. Mr. President, if we continue to over-politicize trying to find a fix for this pension issue, what's going to keep happening is what happened 2 years ago, which is we don't actually solve it, and we set all of our teachers up for failure in the future, when we're right back here again, just maybe chipping away at it rather than actually fixing it when the state had a chance to do so. So you have to forgive me if I'm a little bit passionate and can't get over the fact that we didn't fix it when we had $19 $14 billion to do so. And where are we now, Mr. President? Sitting on a $6 billion deficit. That is a remarkable failure on behalf of our educators in the state of Minnesota.
Senator Farnsworth.
Thank you, Mr. President. And Mr. President, as a Tier 2 teacher, I want to talk, first of all, to the other 2-tier teachers that I know are watching today and to this body. Because we heard from the majority earlier in this debate that if we accept any of these amendments that actually would improve the bill, that it would kill the bill and the bill wouldn't pass. And people outside of this building hear what people say here, and they probably believe it. And they think, well, yeah, we've been working so hard for pension reform. Don't do anything that would kill the bill. What those people don't understand is that if we amend the bill and make it better, the next stop is that it would go to the House. And the House would have the opportunity to accept our amendments, to pass the bill so that it would become law. And I've heard the word fear-mongering, and that's all this is fear-mongering. And I can understand why teachers are nervous, because teachers have been getting the short end of the stick, especially Tier 2 teachers. But I want to make it clear to all of the teachers that are watching that the amendments that were offered today would not kill the bill. They would have made it a better bill so that we're not in the same position that we've been with TRA time and time again. Offering $20 million to make sure this is paid for makes the fund safer for future teachers. So why should we do this? In the 1980s, a deal was made that allowed some teachers to get Rule of 90, while other teachers don't get Rule of 90, but they have to pay for it. In the mid-2000s, when we discovered that the fund was less than, maybe solvent isn't the right word, but it was underfunded, they had given huge raises to current retirees, and so in order to get the fund back up to where it needed to be, they started to take more and more deductions out of current teachers. This was a problem that they just kept kicking the can down the road, Mr. President. And we need to fix it, and we need to fix it right. Because right now, current teachers, like me, pay 1/3 of the money that comes out of my check. 1/3 of it goes to cover a better pension for retired teachers. So this bill is a step towards correcting that. And so we need to pass this, and I'm going to vote for this because this is going to correct that historic injustice. But it's going to have a side effect, you see, Mr. President, because we are cutting, across the state, school districts are cutting $280 million. And if we're able to pass this bill, and if it goes to the House and they pass it and the governor signs it into law, how many senior teachers are going to retire? And when they retire, how many younger teachers' jobs are going to be saved? I can think of possibly 3 in my school district of Hibbing. Teachers that if this is passed, they will retire. They make more money than the younger teachers, so it's going to save the district money and it's going to save jobs. So this bill is not only correcting the historical injustice of putting all of the pension bill on the backs of younger teachers, but it's also hopefully going to save a lot of younger teachers' jobs, because we heard a lot in the last 2 years about the historic funding for schools. We gave historic funding, and there was a tour around the state, and some of our senators went to all these schools, and they wanted a pat on the back for this historic funding, and yet we're in a position where schools are cutting $280 million. So where did that historic funding go? It didn't go to helping the teachers. It went to hurt the teachers. And it's time we correct what we've been doing to the teachers. And I'm excited to vote for this. This is the most emailed thing I get. So I'm encouraging a yes vote on this. But again, I want to remind those that are watching that those amendments would not have killed the bill. And any political rhetoric to that effect is just plain false. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Gustafson.
Thank you, Mr. President. This pension reform bill is more than policy. It's promise kept. For years, Tier 2 educators have worked just as hard, served just as long, and given just as much to our schools, but were asked to accept less in retirement. That's never felt fair. Today, we are here to finally fix it. This bill is the product of thousands of teachers showing up, testifying, writing, organizing, never letting this issue get swept aside. We saw your Facebook posts, we read your emails, we listened to you when you showed up, and we appreciated it. This is their bill. They asked us to listen, and we are responding. And I'll be honest, I'm not carrying this bill. I'm not just carrying the bill, the original bill that came before the Pension Committee. I lived this bill. I am a tier 2 teacher. I know the long days, the late nights, what it feels like to wonder if the retirement you've earned will be there when you need it. And this is one of the reasons I ran for office. This has always been important to me. I have carried this bill many years before this, and I didn't hop on this bandwagon when it became politically popular. I have been in the trenches of this issue since I was elected. I'm here today not just as a state senator, but as a voice for every educator still in the classroom, still doing the work, still waiting for the equity. This is about respect. It's about fairness. It's about keeping the promises we made to the people who build the future. And to the surplus discussion, the surplus went to roads and bridges. It went to our schools and it went to police. We were never going to be able to fix this problem with one-time funding. It was going to take structural change, and it needed to go down the right path. This is that bill today. I am very pleased to vote yes on this bill. Let's all pass this bill for them, for all of us. Thank you.
Senator Kroon.
Thank you, Mr. President. I stand in support of this bill. I've really appreciated getting to know some of the teachers and communicating with them both in person and via email on this issue, learning more about it. And to the teachers that I had growing up in East Grand Forks, some of them are still there, and I've even communicated with some of them, which has been really special. There's three primary reasons I think we should support this bill. One is fairness. Senator Farnsworth articulated it much better than I will be able to, but Tier 2 teachers have been subsidizing the retirement of Tier 1 teachers for many years now. And quite honestly, the legislature back in 1989 sold out future teachers, and promises have been made to those teachers over the decades that they would take care of it. But the legislature kept kicking the can down the road and not prioritizing teacher pensions. And so I came in 2023 and didn't hear about this too much until later in the session. And ever since that time, it's been a priority for me to try to figure out how to take care of this issue. The second reason we should support this bill is recruitment and retention, which is a big, big problem right now in Minnesota for our teachers. Our schools are asking for this, and it's actually fiscally sound to improve our teacher pensions for our schools. Senator Farnsworth mentioned the $280 million in cuts that our schools are facing. This will help alleviate some of that pressure, and having been on a school board, I know firsthand how addressing retirement and teacher pension issues can actually improve the bottom line for our school districts. So that's important as well. And number three, Mr. President, I think it will improve outcomes for educating our kids, which we need to keep in mind that that's what we're here for, and that should be the primary thing that we should be focusing on. And it's hard for a teacher in their mid-60s, especially kindergarten teachers, et cetera. I've heard from a lot of teachers that the job is too demanding to be rolling around on the ground at a kindergarten teacher at the age of 65. But even beyond the physical demands, the mental demands, and quite honestly, Mr. President, if a teacher that is older than 60 doesn't really want to be in the classroom, we probably don't want them there. And we need to respect and honor that reality and make sure that our students and our kids are getting the absolute best that we can provide for them. And that's another aspect of this that I think is important. I do think that it's disappointing that we couldn't have done more for teacher pensions. This is a good improvement. I think we could have done more. I think we could have done more back when we did have that $18 billion surplus. I think we could have even gotten a better outcome if this had been prioritized earlier. but this is an improvement, and I support it. And to echo Senator Farnsworth's point, Senator Duckworth's point, it's disappointing that our GOP amendments didn't go on this bill today. They would have secured the viability of the pension system to secure the win the teachers are getting today long into the future, instead of creating unfunded liabilities. That's part of the problem why we got here in the first place. And so we should give the teachers these wins today, but we should also fund it and make sure that we are not kicking the can down the road so that there's going to be problems with this fund in the future. And as to the argument that by actually improving the bill, you're trying to kill it, you can only make this stuff up here in St. Paul in the Capitol to say, oh, we don't want to improve this bill because it's actually going to kill the bill. That's just utter nonsense. These were actually reasonable amendments that would have improved teacher pensions, and yet we couldn't get it done. But as I've said on other topics before, we can't let the perfect get in the way of the good. This is a good bill. It'll make good improvements for our teachers and their pensions. So I support it and urge members to vote yes. Thank you.
Senator Pappas.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to rise for a minute and give a shout out to the secure choice administrative provisions that are in this bill. I'm just really proud of this retirement plan. It's available to all businesses that don't offer a retirement plan to offer to their workers. And for so many low-wage workers in particular, this is going to be really helpful so they're not just dependent on Social Security and savings, which they may not have, and home ownership, which they may not have. They'll have another pot of money to help them in their retirement. So thank you so much to all the Pension Commission's members. When this passed as an amendment in Pension Commission, it was unanimous, and I really appreciate the bipartisan support for this.
Senator Abler.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I do appreciate a lot about the bill. If I get too deep into the topic, they'll put me on the Pensions Commission. So I plan to be voting yes, and I'm glad there's a nod to the teachers for whom this has been a very important. There are a lot of good things about this, helping the troopers and the police and folks get a COLA that's way deserved. I did want to point out a whole novel point, though. I read in today's paper, Mr. President, that our pension funds are doing better than many across the country. I thought, well, that's interesting. How about that? But I wanted to caution people about why they're doing better, because we're involved in private equity investments, which are both risky but also lucrative. And so Senator Bolden and others in the Housing Committee, we've been disappointed with how some private equity investors have come into mobile home parks and actually priced people nearly out of their homes in the name of making a dollar. And I hope that and other places, Dominium and some of the senior housing things where they have put their profits ahead of the well-being of the seniors and those that we're actually supporting. And ironically, it would be curious, Mr. President, I have no way to know, I'm just cautioning the people who do the investments, that we want to be careful that we don't put our interest we do want to have a well-yielding pension fund, but at some point you want to make sure you're engaging with people who have a good ethic. Mr. President, there are some very highly ethical private equity investors, and I want to commend them for their diligence and their moral character. But Mr. President, there are some that actually seem to have none. And so I'll be voting yes, but I just wanted to put a cautionary note out there that extra money isn't always what you hope for. So thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Swazinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to thank everybody in this body that's worked on this so diligently over the last few years. Our teachers, along with I would argue our police officers and our nurses, when I was a little kid, they were up on a pedestal. We just held our teachers, they could do no wrong. They were this noblest of professions, and they impacted young people's lives for the rest of their lives. And lately, in the last few years, we've had some issues with recruitment and retention and respect our teachers. And I just want to let all the educators know out there that that have been sending us messages via email and social media. We heard you, we saw you, and today I'm so happy to let you all know out there that we listened to you, and hopefully you'll be as pleased with the final bill that so many of us have worked so hard on as I hope I am. So thank you, educators out there, and thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Litsky. Sorry about that.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I rise to explain why I'm going to be a no vote today on this bill. Unfortunately, I am a voice for the small guy, the guy that doesn't normally get heard, doesn't get to be understood, or why they are feeling the pain and discourse of what's happening in front of them. In 2023, I rose against the pensions bill as well for the similar reasons of duty-disabled officers and emergency services individuals were getting hurt in a way that they should not have. Now we're going another step. We're taking more away from them. They signed up for the job, they performed the duties, and then they became disabled. And yet again, we are taking something away that was in their plan, in their ability to serve both, whether it's in law enforcement or emergency services. We're hearing about promises kept. I agree, the teachers portion is definitely a step in the right direction. We are definitely taking care of teachers, and this bill will do that. I don't think everything was answered, but a lot of the promises were met. The COLAs related to the officers that are currently looking at a normal retirement, yes, they had increases. Those are things that we like. But yet again, we are hurting those that have the hardest time because they are the ones that are disabled. And so with that, I urge a no vote. Thank you.
Senator Howe.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. And there are many good things in this bill, but there are also a few things that don't quite meet the bar that I think that it should, Mr. President. And, you know, we talk about the teachers' pensions benefits, and they are very important. But the piece that I think that concerns me the most is we're supposed to kind of be the fiduciary folks in the room when we do those pensions. And I can't help but when I look at what we did last night, adopting the amendment, is that the benefits that aren't fully funded are taken out of the sufficiency. And the teacher's pension only has a sufficiency of a 0.51 without this. And I know that their contributions are going up in June. There's a lot of that, but it cuts into that sufficiency to the point where I'm very concerned that if the markets go down, this pension plan could be in dire trouble. And that's why I was hoping that we could do something a little bit different to make that sufficiency a little bit better. And when we you know, a lot of folks don't understand the sufficiency and the deficiency. I'll just draw an example to not the police fire fund, but I will go to the state patrol fund. That's got a 9.5 sufficiency. And I wish all of our funds could reach that. That's where they're actually contributing. We know that's a healthy fund. That's where our funds should be looking at. They should be that tells us that we're properly funding those funds. So when you get down there under 1, I've got a lot of concern about the viability of those plans. Now, when we talk about the police and fire plan, we are cutting, and I've given this example. You know, when police fire folks retire currently, they've got a 3-year wait in order to get a COLA, a cost of living increase. That cost of living increase right now is 1%. I'll never forget when I finally got my letter in 2014 saying I was going to get a cost of living increase, Mr. President, and it was 1%. I showed my wife. She threw it in my face, said, big deal. So I've been capped at a 1% cost of living increase since 2014. What do you think inflation has done since then? What do you think my pension's worth from 2011 till today? It has gone backwards in buying power. So this bill actually decreases that by 1 year. Now they got to wait 2 years. We get a 3% cost of living increase one time, and then we go back to being capped again at 1%. Are you telling me that my pension plan only missed 3% from 2014 or 2011 till today? I think not. So as we think we're making these folks whole, we just gave them a carrot. We didn't even put a Band-Aid on it. So I think we missed the boat, and I do believe it goes back to the targets. We needed twice the target that we got. And I knew that was unrealistic because this is the biggest target I've seen since I've been here. And it still was half of what we needed to do the right thing and for these pension plans. And that's not any fault of Senator Frentz or the LCPR. We did the best we could with what we had. And I want to reiterate again the commitment and the attention to detail that the LCPR staff did. They're a wonderful group of people. They did all the things that I asked them to do at all hours of the night, which they probably should have shown me the door or didn't answer my phone call, but they always did, no matter when I called them. They're a great bunch of folks. They do great work. And with that, Mr. President, thank you.
Senator McEwen.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I want to thank the members of the Pension Committee for all of their hard work. I know it was a lot of hard work and a lot of long hours. I just want to speak to two provisions very quickly. Thank you for including the Firefighter Relief Association lump sum service increase from $15,000 to $20,000. It might seem like a little bit amount of money, but it actually goes a long way for those folks. So thank you so much for including that in there, and thank you for our firefighters, And then the last thing I want to say is I want to thank Senator Frentz for sitting in front of the State and Local Government Committee while I good-naturedly ribbed him about data center revenue and potentially putting it towards pensions. But lo and behold, we do have a really good pension target, and we're going to be able to do something great for our teachers who give us pretty much everything in the state of Minnesota. And so I want to thank the committee for their time. I want to thank our teachers and our firefighters for all their hard work. They were what make Minnesota, Minnesota.
Senator Pratt.
Thank you, Mr. President. There's a lot of good work in this bill. You know, the Republican changes, as we talked about, would have made this bill stronger, and I think it could have passed the other body. But instead of trying to make the bill stronger, we decided that we were just going to hold firm that the ideas in this room don't matter. The ideas that happened behind closed doors are the ones that did. As the son of a public school teacher, I've seen the problems with the solvency in the TRA fund, and I'm actually pleased that part of a bill I authored is in the solution to that. You know, I talk about how my mom had to retire early for health reasons, and she was fortunate enough she didn't have to take that penalty, but it's not always about people wanting to retire early. It's so often with these older teachers, things outside their control that force them to make that decision to retire or not retire. Members, we had an $18 billion deficit. We could have taken care of this in 2023. Instead, we took one-time money and spent it on ongoing expenses. And that's why we're facing a $6 billion deficit that we've had to address this biennium. Instead of passing 65 new mandates on public schools, we could have used this to shore up the teacher's pension plan. And I find it interesting that I remember in 2023, this wasn't even being discussed until we had a bunch of angry teachers show up on the lawn because Education Minnesota and the majority just weren't interested in it until after the rank and file found out what was going on. I'm also glad to see that we're addressing the issue of duty disability, but it's far from over, members. While the solution in front of us helps protect the solvency of the underlying fund, we still have a problem with some of our first responders who are out on duty disability. And what makes this even more of a problem that we need to address is that the rate of duty disability is 4 times higher in Minnesota than our neighboring states. So I'm pleased that last night, both in the Pensions Committee and in Finance, Senator Frentz agreed to continue to work on this issue because I think it's very important for those first responders that have put their lives on the line, and now not only are they struggling personally, but their families are struggling as well. Mr. President, this is a bill that's going to help firefighters, law enforcement officers, first responders, and teachers. I will be voting for the bill, and I hope that we can continue to make it better over the next few years. Thank you.
Senator Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also rise in support of the LCPR bill in front of us, our pensions omnibus bill. I won't repeat all of the things that have been said. Let me just say that this is good policy. It is good for teachers. I say that as a daughter of a teacher and a teacher myself. And also it's good for our firefighters, our public safety. But what I would say, it is not perfect. There are things that still need to be worked out, but it is a step in the right direction, and I will be supporting this. Specifically, the duty disability, yes, this is a step in the right direction. I appreciated Senator Seeberger's comments in the Pensions Commission last night and her promise to continue to work on this. So members, this is a good bill. Yes, it would have been much better had we addressed this when we had a massive budget surplus. But that was then, this is now. We have a deficit, and yet we are able to put on your desks a pension bill that is good for Minnesota workers. I encourage a green vote.
Senator Frentz, last word.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, members. As the son and brother of teachers, as someone who tries hard to have bipartisan support for public safety, our police officers, our firefighters, our paramedics, I want to thank everyone in the room for the debate and for what brought us here to what is somewhat of a historic moment of pension improvement. I want to start by recognizing Mr. Cheetah, who I was not able to recognize earlier, but thank you for your work on behalf of the GOP and Pension Commission. I want to repeat the thanks to the members of the LCPR. We run around this place and talk about, oh, we want to be more bipartisan, we want to work together. LCPR brings that home. And members, in case there's any question, last night in our 3-hour meeting, we took amendments and put them on the bill from both DFL and Republican members, and I, Mr. President, am proud of that. Senator Seeberger, Senator Howe, your passion for those topics of your amendment is noted, and it will help meet our promise to continue that work. That includes work, Mr. President, not only on duty disability, but on behalf of our probation officers and on behalf of our St. Paul teachers to say we make a pledge to keep working on it and we intend to keep it. And I think that will be a bipartisan promise kept, Mr. President. Just a quick note, Mr. President, about the State Board of Investment and the article in the newspaper today. They have been outstanding, and what the article basically says is Minnesota has been blessed with above average returns. To repeat, we have received above average investment returns, which has helped bring our funds to a higher funding status. That's good news. Speaking of our funding status, members have commented on how we got here. Rule of 90 went into effect in 1989. Since that time, both governors of the Republican Party and the Democratic Party have served the state commendably without fixing this problem. We are taking that step on behalf of those same parties today. People want us to support these members of our community. The 2018 pension shared sacrifice brought us closer, but these are our firefighters, our police officers, our paramedics, and our teachers. And we're going to support them here because they do tough jobs on behalf of all of us, and they do not do it for the money. They do it for the love of their family, their community, their city, and their state. And their jobs being tough is only one of the reasons that the 2025 Omnibus pension bill is a win for every senator in this room, for every legislator, and for the whole state. And my hope is that it will serve as a marker, Mr. President, for future bipartisan, for those men and women that do those tough jobs. But this vote is not tough, members. I urge a green vote. Thank you, Mr. President.
The Secretary will take the roll on final passage of Senate File Number 2884. Senator Broding, for those voting pursuant to Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Mann votes aye.
Senator Mann votes aye.
Senator Fate votes aye.
Senator Fate votes aye.
And Senator Pa votes aye.
Senator Powell votes aye. Senator Jasinski, for those voting pursuant to Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Coleman votes aye.
Senator Coleman votes aye.
Senator Miller votes aye.
Senator Miller votes aye. All senators having voted, who desires a vote, the secretary will close the roll. There being 55 ayes and 12 noes, the bill is passed and is titled agreed to. Pursuant to Rule 12.5, Senator Hurd moves that the following members be excused for a conference committee on House File number 2563 at 3 p.m. Senators Hurd, Pa, Pratt, Muhammad, and McEwen. Members will now go to House File 1143. Senator McEwen.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I rise today to ask members for your support for House File 1143. This is a bill to fund unemployment insurance costs for school districts to compensate hourly school employees receiving unemployment. It is paid for through a cancellation of 77.2 approximately million from the Minneapolis to Duluth Northern Lights Express passenger rail project. This is a bill that is difficult for me to bring because I am, my community is very hopeful that the Northern Lights Express project can be brought to fruition. And many dozens of people, scores of people have been involved over years and years up in northeastern Minnesota to see the Northern Lights Express project come to fruition. And again and again, we take big steps forward and then have steps back. And I'll have more to say about that in my closing remarks. But Mr. President, if I could, I just want to speak briefly about the importance of this unemployment insurance availability for hourly school workers. Before 2023, hourly K through 12 school workers in Minnesota doing jobs such as bus drivers, nutrition workers, clerical staff, and education support aides had been excluded from receiving unemployment insurance compensation. The reason for this exclusion was often the perception that these workers only had these jobs because they needed something to do while their children attended school during the day. This workforce, made up primarily of women and women of color, has been consistently undervalued, overlooked, and underpaid. Other workers with similarly predictable seasonal employment, but who are working in a more male-dominated workforce, such as the trades, have had access to unemployment insurance since the inception of the program. Nationally, women make up very large shares of education food service, office and administration, and paraprofessional workers, according to a 2024 report from the Economic Policy Institute. That same study highlighted that while black workers make up 11.3% of the nation's workforce as a whole, they constitute 15.1% of food service workers, 14.9% of custodial employees, and 17.9% of school bus drivers. Hispanic workers represent 18.6% of the U.S. workforce, but make up 20.3% of paraprofessional and 26.1% of custodial employees. These workers typically live paycheck to paycheck, often choosing between pay and access to health insurance because their hourly pay is so low and their health insurance costs are so high. Hourly school workers often work 2 or 3 jobs to get by during the school year and the summer. Our nation's housing, childcare, and healthcare crisis hits these workers the hardest. The national median wage for these workers, according to the Economic Policy Institute, is approximately $17.73 an hour, far below the U.S. median wage of $23.93 an hour. Unemployment benefits are about a 50% wage replacement. Workers who qualify receive about half of their already low wages in the form of unemployment compensation in the summer, allowing them a bit of breathing room so they can make it through the summer and then return to their jobs supporting Minnesota students in the fall. Without this safety net, many take other jobs in the summer and often never return, hurting students across the state. And just like all other workers, in order to receive unemployment, unemployed school workers must be actively looking for work, must be available for work, and must accept suitable employment if it is offered to them. In 2023, this body and the Minnesota legislature passed legislation to bring these hourly school workers into the unemployment insurance benefit program, and in so doing, it righted a decades-long wrong and helped set conditions for a stronger, better staffed, and more successful public school system. Since these benefits have been realized, we have seen a number of testifiers who are in these positions talk about just what a game changer this has been for them in their lives and how much it has helped them. So as we go forward, it is particularly important for us to shore up this account to make sure that our districts are not going to have to shoulder these costs at this point out of their education budget, but will still be able to access this special account which we created to make sure that the districts would be whole in providing these unemployment benefits to these employees. So it is, as I noted in my first remarks, painful for me in some ways because this is what we have to do when we have a lack of support in the legislature and a lack of political courage in the legislature to tax the rich appropriately in our state, to tax the wealthiest, the wealthy, and the super wealthy. What we end up having to do is to take money from very worthy projects that people are counting on and hoping for and have put a lot of work into, to take money from that to make sure that other people are going to be able to live. So this is a painful step for me, but I support it. And I'm proud to bring this today to be able to support those workers, because even though this is a hit to my constituents and my community, many members of my community are counting on these benefits, and people all over the state are counting on these benefits. And they deserve these benefits, and they were a long time coming. And there's no way that I am going to allow those workers to fall behind and to be treated as second-class workers in Minnesota. So painfully, Mr. President, I ask members for your support of House File 1143. Thank you.
Senator Eric.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, we've got a project that we're talking about here that runs right through the heart of my district that the vast majority of people have been opposed to since day one. And so I really appreciate a bill that we have in front of us that's looking to reappropriate dollars to that, I mean, after all of these many years, and it is not moving forward, and there are so many better uses of this money. And as I see that we're looking at using some of this money to help in our education system, I can't help but realize that with a day and a half left to go, we have not had an education finance bill come forward here to fund our schools. We're looking to put dollars into the UI account, but we're not looking at helping our schools plan as they begin that process of setting their budget. So, Mr. President, I would like to offer the A3 amendment.
Senator Rarick offers the A3 amendment. The Secretary will report the A3 amendment.
Senator Rarick moves to amend House File Number 1143 as follows. Delete everything after the enacting clause and insert. This is the A3 amendment.
Senator Rarick to your A3 amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, this amendment looks to do two things. One, fund our schools and let them know what is coming forward. And two, help the so far failed Office of the Inspector General within the Department of Education try to find and deal with fraud. So, Mr. President, what this amendment looks to do is use some more of the money that was set aside for the federal match for the NLX train. In the base bill, Mr. President, we were taking approximately $77 million out of that and then reappropriating approximately $22 million out of special ed. Well, Mr. President, we've all heard how important special ed funding is within our schools. So I'd like to keep that whole, and I do that in this amendment. And I take $100 million to put into this UI account, so that is staying the same as what the intention of the bill before us was doing. We also use $9 million to establish the Office of OIG. And there was a provision that was in the House or the Senate bill that never came before us around assistance to our schools for mascot replacement aid. And so we're taking $2 million for that and putting in as well. Unfortunately, I know many of us talk about READ Act and how important that is. But, Mr. President, the other thing this amendment does is it balances to the global target for education finance. So unfortunately, we had to have a zero in the first year, or the first biennium, and so we have to zero out the $40 million that was in this package for the READ Act. In the second biennium, we do exactly what the Senate proposal was, and that was to delink from inflation. That saves us a little over $680 million. The target in the tails was to save $420. So we use a little bit of the money to, again, $2 million for the mascot replacement, $9 million for OIG. We have the $420 million in savings to balance to the global target. And then the rest goes into our new account, the Student Basic Allowance. Members, this program, or this account that is being established, is what our schools have really been asking for. This is money that will go to every school across the state equally per student with it as to what they have. It is not tied to the compensatory, it's not tied to categoricals, it's not tied, to the formula. This is money that will go directly to each school on the basis of per pupil, so that we're not driving the disparity that we've been growing year after year when we put money on the formula. Members, this plan, and if people want to ask questions about further details, but this is the plan that's been before us that was the signed agreement from the other chamber, the other body. Mr. President, I would ask members to consider, if we continue to negotiate for a month, what do you think is going to change? What is going to be different than what I'm putting in front of us right here to consider? We can take another month or more to have our schools worrying and wondering what's going to happen. Or we can take this that is in front of us right here and tell our schools, here's a plan that had very good bipartisan support in the other chamber. We tweak it to meet the global targets, and we can get 40% of the state budget done before we go into a special session. That is a signal to the people of Minnesota that we can get our work done, that we can do what's right, and that all of us at times realize there's something in front of us that we don't like, but we have to compromise, work together across the aisle, and bring forward something that makes sense. Even though it's not perfect or not exactly what I want, it is something that we across the aisle can agree to and get done. Mr. President, this is the proposal that sends a message to Minnesota that we are here to do our jobs. We are here to send a message to our schools. We're listening, we're doing our best with the budget targets we have in front of us, and here is a plan that came together out of bipartisan compromise. Members, I ask you to support the A3 amendment.
Senator Kunish.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, in a phrase that I just recently heard that seems to apply here, this amendment is basically banana pants. This is legislating on the fly with very little input. In fact, this bill would basically probably take the entire Senate out of the ability to create education finance bill. Would Senator Rarick answer a question for me, please?
Senator Rarick, will you yield? He will yield. Senator Kunish.
Senator Rarick, are you suggesting that we take the House bill that they sent over to us 2 days ago and adopt that rather than go through a process of understanding what the bill is and negotiating a well-defined finance bill?
Senator Rarick, to the question.
Thank you, Mr. President. And you know what, Mr. President, I have been tracking and following the negotiations over in the other chamber, working and communicating constantly. So to say that the Senate, has no idea, I mean, that's a choice if we're not following what's been happening in the other chamber in our issue areas. So am I asking the chamber to accept the language that was passed in the other body bipartisanly? Yes, I am. Because that is how we will get something done before the end of this session, so we can say not everything has to go out to a special session. This is 40% of the budget that we can have done and not have to worry about in a special session. And the fact that not every member of the Senate has tracked it all the way through, again, this is a bipartisan plan that came forward that both co-chairs in the House signed in agreement, with some small modifications to, instead of meeting the House targets, it meets the global targets.
Senator Kunish.
Well, Mr. President, I guess I'm kind of wondering why we need to take the Senate out of the discussion. As the chair of Education Finance, I have a very strong responsibility, and this Senate has a strong responsibility to look at the options that the House has provided for us, but also to look at the priorities of the Senate. And if this amendment were to be accepted, we don't even know what is in the bill from the House for everybody to understand. It takes the Senate out of the discussion and the decision-making. Again, this is legislating on the fly. It is not good governance. It is not financial responsibility. It is really an injustice to our students, to our teachers, to our schools, that we are tasked, that it is our legislative responsibility to allocate the tax dollars in the very best way. I absolutely could not accept this amendment, knowing that I have not even had that discussion with the members in the other body around this issue. This is sloppy, this is lazy, it is irresponsible, and I suggest we all vote red.
Senator Klein.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise for a point of order under 35.2 germaneness, particularly, Mr. President, 35.2 subdivision 2, which reads, an amendment is not germane if it is intended to accomplish a substantially different purpose than that of the original bill, which is proposed. This is the one-page bill in front of us, members. The amendment offered is 138 pages, which you heard described at some length by the author. Mr. President, there's no dispute that this accomplishes a substantially different purpose.
Senator Rarick, only person, and then I will rule.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, the underlying bill opens two accounts into discussion that are in the Department of Education. And without wanting to drag things down too deep, when I look back at what happened at the end of last session, our custom would seem that we can expand a bill in these final days because we need to get the budget done. So I would ask the body that, is it expanding the bill greatly? It absolutely is. But is this something that we should be doing to send the message? We can vote to say, yes, this is what we should be doing if we so choose. And I would ask the members to say, yes, this is what we should be taking up today so that we have 40% of the budget taken care of before we get into a special session. So, Mr. President, I would ask you to rule against the point of order, saying that this is of such importance, and it is related into the topic. It's not completely in left field. It is related very closely to the bill. I admit it expands it, but it is something we should be taking up and doing.
The point of order is well taken.
Mr. President, I'd like to...
Senator Rarick.
I want to appeal the ruling of the President and would request a roll call.
Roll call requested, roll call granted.
Mr. President?
A green vote states that upholds the ruling of the President, a red vote goes against the ruling of the President. Briefly, if you don't mind, Senator Pratt.
Thank you, Mr. President. Advice to the body that I had hoped to be able to offer you. The bill actually references, or the amendment actually references the bill that is directly cited in this provision. We take money out of the bill that has not passed, House File 2433, and we put it into this bill. So that, in fact, puts the entire House Bill 2433 as germane to this bill. And I respectfully disagree with your ruling, Mr. President. I had hoped to be able to give you that advice before you ruled, but I'll hope that the body does the right thing and overrides your decision.
The Secretary will take, Senator Farnsworth.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I just want to point out, as advice to the body, Section 402, Part 3 in Mason said, to be germane, the amendment is required only to relate to the same subject. It may entirely change the effect of or be in conflict with the spirit of the original motion or proposal and still be germane to the subject. So, Mr. President, I think that makes it very clear that this is an amendment that is allowable, should be allowable. Thank you, Mr. President.
The Secretary will take the roll on the appeal decision of the President. Remember, a green vote upholds the ruling of the president, and a red vote goes against the ruling of the president. Senator Bowden, for those voting pursuant to Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Mann votes aye.
Senator Mann votes aye.
Senator Fate votes aye.
Senator Fate votes aye.
Senator Pa votes aye.
Senator Pa votes aye.
Senator Rest votes aye.
Senator Rest votes aye.
And Senator Herr votes aye.
And Senator Herr votes aye. Senator Jasinski, for those voting pursuant to Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Coleman votes no.
Senator Coleman votes no.
Senator Miller votes no.
Senator Miller votes no. Senator Jasinski. All senators having voted, who desires a vote, the secretary will close the roll. There being 35 ayes and 32 nays, the decision of the president is upheld. Senator Rarick.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, we have this bill in front of us today because we instituted a policy in 2023 to bring in the school workers to the UI program. And I've heard over and over this, comparing it to the trades. The thing is, I want to explain a little difference, and I'll be real quick, Mr. President, and I'll offer my amendment. In the trades, a small fraction of the members get laid off, and that is quite typically weather-related. So it's unknown. You never know when, and you never know for how long. And so there were two reasons back when school workers were removed from and exempted from the UI program as to why. It was because the calendar was known, and schools couldn't afford to pay the UI insurance premiums. And the bill before us today is proving that. The fact that we're having to add another $100 million to help cover it. And Mr. President, before I go on, I will offer the A5 amendment.
Senator Rarick offers the A5 amendment. The secretary will report the A5 amendment.
Senator Rarick moves to amend House File number 1143 as follows, page 1 after line 8, insert. This is the A5 amendment.
Senator Rarick, to your A5 amendment, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. The A5 amendment is incredibly simple. It says we're putting this $100 million into the UI account, but we're going to sunset this on September 10th of 2028. This gives our school districts time to figure out a plan, and it helps us to do things to assist them to create incentives to keep workers, to potentially be flexible, figure out what we can do to show these workers how important they are, because we all agree. Asking for this program to sunset does not mean we do not value the workers. But Mr. President, what we're getting at here is this is something that is known and can be planned for, and for many over the years have considered it to be an actual benefit, because if they have school-age kids, they're at home with their kids when the kids are out of school. But the other thing that isn't being addressed, Mr. President, with the underlying issue where we keep putting money into this fund to help schools pay for the UI insurance for their workers, because remember, the language is this is for covering school employees. Well, Mr. President, many of the school districts around the state hire out the bus services. And a number of schools also hire out the kitchen work, the food service. Mr. President, those companies, because their workers are not employees of the school, aren't eligible for this assistance. And thus the school, as more and more people apply for the uninsurance, and the experience ratings go up and the account gets lower, and then employers across the state have to pay more in, these bus service companies and these food service companies who have contracts with the schools, those contracts are going to go up and up and up to cover those costs. And those schools will not have access to this assistance. So it's the right thing to do to sunset this program and work on a plan to handle this better, to show workers that they're valued, but to come up with a way to do it that is not going to continually be asking our schools to make cuts, say within their classrooms or other ways, because we know at the state level, we are not going to continue to put this money in. We found some this time sitting out in the fund, and as we heard, people really don't want to take that money and do it. And so there's a limited amount, and into the future, we are not going to cover these costs for the schools. I think we can all admit to that. So this sunset is the right thing to do. We're taking care of them for now, but when this money is going to run out, the plan should stop, and we have then 3 years, Mr. President, to figure out how to make this work, and I would request a roll call.
Roll call requested, roll call granted. Senator McEwen.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I would like to ask members to oppose the A5 amendment. First off, just sort of on a technical note, I'm hearing that that this amendment would likely be against federal law because it separates out different types of employees. And it would take us out of federal compliance, so that's somewhat problematic. I also want to point members to a letter that has been distributed on your desk that details a problem that we have been that we're trying to remedy, and that is that the way that things had been before, we made sure that these workers were also able to receive unemployment, is that there were, because of the way that busing is done, for example, and that's what this letter addresses, some employers were paying into the UI trust fund, but their employees were not able to certain employees were not able to access that benefit. So it was an unequal system that making sure that these workers were able to receive unemployment remedied. You know, but what the amendment really gets at is what it is really trying to do is sunset this benefit. And I in some ways, I appreciate the claim that, you know, we're going to find other ways to show how much we appreciate these workers, and they don't need this unemployment benefit. Maybe there's something else we could do. But they have this benefit now. They've finally received this benefit, and the wrong has been righted after so many years. And I do take issue with the sort of ahistorical explanation that we heard about rationalizing the difference between the trades workforce receiving these benefits, but this workforce not receiving it. I think we all know what's behind that and why it took so long to remedy it. But at the end of the day, what I heard is that we will never have the political courage in this body to actually tax rich people, and we will always be forcing a fight between working Minnesotans, between pensioners, between hourly school workers, between teachers, between tradespeople. We are always going to be giving the ultra wealthy in this state everything that they want. There is no way we will ever go to them and ask them to pay their fair share. That's what I just heard. I don't believe that. I think when I go out to the people of Minnesota and I ask them, do you think that we should tax the ultra wealthy so that we can have the things we want? We can have the things that we deserve, like good public transportation, like health care, like child care, like housing? They say, heck yes, we do. We should be doing that.
Point of information, Mr. President.
Mr. President, I will not be interrupted in this way.
Point of information.
Members, I have tried to remind us, members, I know that this is a touchy topic, but I'm going to refer you back to our rules. Rule 36. The member must speak only to the question under debate. And sometimes we can expand that and say, you know, there's so many things under debate as to why certain things are not being paid for or won't be paid for. Members, I'm reminding us that we're on the A5 rare amendment only. That is what is before the body. That's a gentle reminder because that is what is before the body. Senator McEwen.
Thank you, Mr. President. In this body, I find that interruption that was just made to my argument untenable. How many times in this body have we heard outrageously out of step with what we were talking about arguments? I take the warning, Mr. President, but I take issue with the interruption. I will speak to the amendment, and I will close up my comments now. That is what I heard. I heard that this body will continue to serve the wealthy in this state and will continue to force fights between working Minnesotans on a scant budget so that we never have to go to the billionaire class. We never have to go to the ultra wealthy and say, we demand you pay your fair share. Instead, we're going to have all the working people fight amongst each other for scraps. I don't believe that. I believe in the people of Minnesota. I believe that they want us to make sure the wealthy are paying their fair share. I believe that we will fund this going forward and not shift off the cost to our school districts. So the sunsetting of this program, Mr. President, is actually cynical, and it places these workers in a second-class position where they were before. And I find that untenable. So, members, I ask you to vote no on the A5.
Any other discussion before we go to the author of the amendment? Senator Eric.
Thank you, Mr. President. And you know what? I didn't have one single ultra-wealthy person come to me asking me to put an end to UI. I'm bringing this amendment because it's superintendents and school board members who have come and asked me to bring this forward. Mr. President, this issue has caused problems within our schools. And I think another thing, Mr. President, why should we sunset this? If we are going to, as a state, continue to pay for the UI insurance for this sector, how soon will every other sector be coming forward and saying, well, you should pay for our UI insurance as well? Mr. President, this was done, having the school workers not a part of UI has been in place for a long time and had been negotiated that way because of the different nature of the schedule at our schools compared to all these other jobs. It's not an unknown as to when you might have work come to an end. The school schedule is absolutely known. And again, in the education realm, this was probably one of the 3 top issues that schools came to us asking for, saying this is causing them problems, and they really wanted to have this go away, but they are going to continue discussions about what they can do for these workers in other ways. But the UI was not the right way for them. They're struggling with it, and it is our superintendents and school boards who came and have asked for this. And if you've been listening to them, Mr. President, I would suggest a green vote.
The Secretary take the roll on the A5 Rarick Amendment. Senator voting for those voting pursuant to Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Mann votes no.
Senator Mann votes no.
Senator Fate votes no.
Senator Fate votes no.
Senator Pa votes no.
Senator Pa votes no.
Senator Rest votes no.
Senator Rest votes no.
Senator Herr votes no.
Senator Herr votes no.
And Senator Latz votes no.
And Senator Latz votes no. Senator Jasinski for those voting pursuant to Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Coleman votes aye.
Senator Coleman votes aye.
Senator Miller votes aye.
Senator Miller votes aye.
Mr. President,
Senator Jasinski.
Senator Pratt votes aye.
Senator Pratt votes aye. Senator Bowden.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Mohammed votes no.
Senator Mohammed votes no. All senators having voted, who desires a vote? The Secretary will close the roll. There being 32 ayes and 35 nays, the A5 Rarick Amendment is not adopted. Members, if I could just remind you of something too. I said this earlier, and I've been saying it sort of repeatedly, and I don't want any particular person to think I'm directing a comment at any particular person. I am directing my comments at us as a body. We have rules. Our rules state that we should only debate what is before the body. And I know sometimes people want to go on and expand out, but that's not how we have traditionally done it. We stick to the issue, and if you want to say something on third reading or some other time, you can certainly do it at that particular time. But still, only on what's under debate before this body. So please help govern yourselves, and if not, I'll certainly step in respectfully when I need to do so. Senator Howell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I understand that we need to fund this UI program. But I also understand that there's some money in that special education aid that we're going to use for this. And Mr. President, I think there's a better use for that because I've heard for years about the special education cross-subsidy. So, Mr. President, with that, I would like to offer the A2 amendment.
Senator Howell offers the A2 amendment. The Secretary will report the A2 amendment.
Senator Howell moves to amend House File number 1143 as follows, page 1, line 10, delete $77,232,000 and insert. This is the A2 amendment.
Senator Howell to your A2 amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President. And that's what this bill does. This amendment does to the bill. It actually removes the just over the $77 million and adds the $100 million to take from the NLX. And what it does also, though, what it does is take that special education aid that's left over and make that available to the special education cross-subsidy. Because our schools have always struggled with that special education cross-subsidy, and I think this is an excellent way to provide a little extra funding for that and protect those kids that need our help the most. So, Mr. President, I hope that this is a friendly amendment. It still takes care of everything and actually provides more funding for those folks that, with that cross-subsidy for the special education piece. So I ask for your support. I hope that this is a friendly amendment because it helps our schools, it still funds the UI, and it helps those that need the help most. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator McEwen to the A2 amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I am going to ask for a no vote on the A2 amendment. And was a roll call requested already, Mr. President?
It was not.
I would like to request a roll call, Mr.
Roll call
President.
requested, roll call granted. Senator McEwen.
Thank you very much. This allocation is the cancellation that is part of this bill to cancel this large chunk of funding for the Northern Lights Express, and so that we would have enough money to make sure that the account for reimbursement to school districts for the unemployment for hourly school workers is fortified for the next biennium, is a special one-time allocation as we move forward. And it does take money out of what is otherwise had been allocated for transportation. I'm keenly aware of that. As I stated in my comments previously, I am all for raising revenue through taxing the wealthy so that we can actually fund the things that we need, especially special education. Unfortunately, I don't think that there are the votes from my colleagues on the other side of the aisle and some on the same side of the aisle who would support that. So we end up in these situations like we are this year, where we're asking the people of our state to buckle down and accept cuts in really important areas and to shoulder those cuts, even though we are a very wealthy state, even though the top 1% of Minnesotans own almost a third of the wealth in our state. So for those reasons, Mr. President and Senator, I appreciate the sentiment of wanting to provide more funding to special ed, but in this instance, I think that doing it in this way would be wholly inappropriate, and I ask for a no vote.
Any other discussions before we go to the author of the amendment? Senator Kunish.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think sometimes people get confused about how this unemployment process works for our school hourly workers, and of course don't recognize the value of investing in those folks that do the hardest work that we have. But the way we have it set up, unemployment aid reimburses 100% of those UI costs. Special education covers about 50% of our district's special education costs. And as long as there is money, and as I have made this promise before, as long as I am education chair, finance chair, I will work as hard as I can to ensure that those dollars don't run out. But as long as there is money in the UI account, districts will bill all of their UI expenses to that account. If the UI account is somehow compromised, then the districts can still bill their summer UI costs for special ed paras, their special ed bus drivers, and other eligible expenses to special education, because we have a 50% reimbursement rate, and which is better than nothing, but it's good as that we're going to have. And so I think it's important to recognize that our special education payments lag behind by years, and we are working very hard. But the schools have received their full UI payments closer to when they incurred those costs. It is not a cut to districts, and they're getting their money much sooner. And so it is important that we continue to protect that unemployment benefit for our hourly workers and members. I would suggest a red vote on this bill.
Senator Eric, to your A2, I'm sorry, Senator Howell, to your A2 amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President. We are just across the aisle from one another, but I can see how the mistake can be made. Mr. President, thank you for the conversation, but I truly believe, and it's, being on the Transportation Committee, it is difficult for me to see these leakages from the Transportation Fund. But if we're going to do it to the tune of over $77 million, well then let's do it to $100 million and to use that $23 million to help fund the special education cross-subsidy. I tell you what, that is a good use of those funds, and I truly believe that we can help our schools out, because that's what we've been hearing the most about. This will help that out. That's $23 million that is sitting in the special education aid account that we can change and push it to the special education cross-subsidy. Mr. President, I ask for a green vote.
The Secretary would take the roll on the A2 Howell amendment. Senator Bowden, for those voting pursuant to Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Mann votes no.
Senator Mann votes no.
Senator Fate votes no.
Senator Fate votes no.
Senator Pa votes no.
Senator Pa votes no.
Senator Rest votes no.
Senator Rest votes no.
Senator Herr votes no.
Senator Herr votes no.
Senator Latz votes no.
Senator Latz votes no.
And Senator Mohammed votes no.
And Senator Mohammed votes no. Senator Jasinski, for those voting pursuant to Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Coleman votes aye.
Senator Coleman votes aye.
Senator Miller votes aye.
Senator Miller votes aye.
And Senator Pratt votes aye.
Senator Pratt votes aye. All senators having voted who desires to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 33 ayes and 34 noes, the A2 Howell amendment is not adopted. Any additional amendments? Seeing none, the Secretary will give the bill its third reading.
House File Number 1143, a bill for an act relating to state government modifying certain appropriations.
Third reading. Any other discussion before we vote? Senator Rarick.
Thank you, Mr. President. And, Senator Howe started to allude to this in his last comment, and I would agree. I think taking this money that came from the transportation realm to here, and without actually going through the Education Committee and going through the Transportation Committee to have this discussion and having it part of the targets for consideration of either one, I don't believe this is the right way to go about doing this, Mr. President. What we should be doing here is sending this money just to the general fund and then allocating in the targets to the committee to bring it in and then have it be a part of the committee's omnibus bill. What we're doing here with this bill, I think it's I don't want to say shifts and gimmicks, it's not that, but it's close. I think we're kind of going around the process, and again, it was mentioned earlier, if we're not including the chairs as part of the discussion, I honestly believe this should have gone through both the Transportation and the Education Finance Committee to talk about that, being this money is shifting from, it came out of one area and is now going to another, and we aren't seeing targets for it. So, do I like this idea that we're helping out our schools? I do. I think we're just doing it the wrong way, and I will not be able to support the bill in front of us. Thank you.
Senator McEwen.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. And I just want to thank Senator McEwen for bringing this bill. I know that it kind of put two beloved things against one another. But I just want to, we are coming up at the end of May here. It's going to be the end of school for a lot of kids. And wow, do I love our school workers. The clerical staff, the bus drivers, the food service workers, the classroom aides, like the work that they do to care for our kids, take them to the bathroom, teach them how to tie their shoes, open their snacks in class, serve them their food, help them find their seat. It is the other half. I'm a parent, and it's the other half of the job. I can't be there all the time, right? These are the folks who care for our kids in some of the most wonderful ways. And it's really, really difficult working and not having a job and not having wage replacement. Seasonal jobs are difficult. And these are some of those jobs. And so I'm so, so glad that we were able to implement UI for these hourly workers to provide that lifeline so that they're not starving. We heard stories of workers who said that during the summer months they scrimp and save, and they're going to food shelves and making sure that they can still eat, and then they'll return in September and they'll serve kids to our food, or food to our kids. That is not what we want in Minnesota. We can treat workers better, and we are going to treat workers better, and that's what this bill does. I'm so, so, so glad we're going to pass this today. I have gotten a number of emails. We're taking care of 2 issues today that I think I might never get an email again. So we love our hourly workers, and I'm so, so glad we can pass this bill. Thank you to Senator McEwen for moving it, and to the other body for passing it as well. And let's get this green vote and send it for our hourly workers.
Senator Bowden.
Thank you, Mr. President. I, too, want to thank Senator McEwen for this bill and for this work. Members, this is a win-win. I have gotten emails both from my school district, who is saying this is important and can you please fund this, and also from these workers. This is the way we support workers. The emails and the stories that have been shared with me of people in my district who are caring for our kids, who have said, this is going to allow me to breathe a little easier. It's going to allow me to continue working until I'm 65 because I have to work to afford my insurance and all of the other things I need to do in my life. But the difference that this will make in people's lives is significant. It allows people to breathe a little easier and to keep going. It is the right thing to do, and I'm proud to vote yes.
Senator Kroon.
Thank you, Mr. President. Of course, these seasonal workers are valued employees. I recall when I was on the school board looking for ways to improve the compensation package for these workers and to be competitive in how we pay these workers. And that is noble and that is good. But there's a way to do it and there's a way to not do it. And Mr. President, there's a reason Minnesota is the only state in the nation to establish this summer unemployment as an ongoing benefit. And Mr. President, the wrong way to do this is to establish an ongoing mandate on our schools with one-time funding. And that's exactly what this legislature did. That's just irresponsible. And to continue to go down this road without coming to grips with the fact that we're going to have to come up with a long-term solution is also irresponsible. Schools do not have the authority to levy for these unemployment payments either. And when the state aid is not enough to cover the cost, the schools are going to have to cover it out of their own budgets. And we can put up one-time money, and then that's going to run out, and then maybe we'll put up one-time money in the future, maybe we won't. This is not the way we should be doing this. It leaves this hanging over our school's head as temporary funding for an ongoing mandate. That is not what we should be doing. And I know our schools need this mandate funded. They've asked for this mandate to be funded, and I'm very sympathetic to that. And if the sunset amendment that we had proposed had gotten on, I would have likely supported this bill because then we would be dealing with this in a long-term way. But as such, we're not. And this money from the NLX line should not be going to fund one-time seasonal unemployment. It should stay in the transportation realm. It should go to our roads and bridges. That's what the people of Minnesota expect. That's what should be happening. And we need to allow our school districts the flexibility to provide for these compensation packages for all of their working groups, including their seasonal workers as well. And so this is hard to, think about this just, well, we need to get this funded. And I'm very sympathetic to our schools, the situation in it. If there's going to be a mandate, it needs to be funded. This is not the way to do it, Mr. President. And if we're going to use these funds in our education realm, our schools are looking at $285 million of cuts. This money could go a long way to there. It could go a long way for teacher compensation. It could go a long way to have a better, more sustainable teacher pension program. It could go towards equalization, which is desperately needed in my school districts right now. And so it comes down to priorities. And this should not be at the top of the list with so many needs that our schools have. And so we need to come to grips with this mandate. We need to address this in a long-term way, which is looking at the mandate itself and not just keeping on doing one-time funding for an ongoing mandate. So with that, Mr. President, I encourage members to vote no.
Senator Kunish.
Thank you, Mr. President. We definitely need to continue to support hourly unemployment for our members. I think about when I was still actively teaching and had decided to run for office, and the educational assistant, the hourly workers, I can't even tell you how many of them came to me and said, when you get elected, will you get us unemployment? Do you know how hard it is in the summer? We can't, we oftentimes can't find full-time employment. We would love to be able to continue to work with the schools during the summer. And I promised them that we would work hard, and I was so proud when we were able to provide this benefit for our hourly workers. I can't even imagine that we would not support and continue hourly unemployment for our school bus drivers, for our kitchen communities, our assistants in the classroom, all those people that worked so hard, as you've heard, for our students. And if this were not to pass, and I'm pretty certain we will pass it, how would you go back to your school districts and look at those hourly workers in the eyes and say, I voted against this. I voted against a benefit that you had 15 minutes ago, 2 days ago, 1 hour. How many of those that will vote no have the courage to go back to the schools and visit with your hourly workers and say, sorry, you were not a priority? We did not desperately need to support you by paying unemployment. This fall, when I went to visit schools on the first day of school, I actually noticed a real change in the atmosphere there. Students were happy, teachers were happy. I was there in the beginning of the day when the buses came in. I was at another school at the end of the day when the buses left. And the bus drivers arrived on time, and the kids were excited to get on those buses. And I looked to the principal that was showing me around, and I said, is it me, or am I sensing a whole different atmosphere here. I don't see long faces. I don't see worried looks. It looks like everybody is happy doing the job that they're doing. And she said, yeah, it's so different than the last couple of years. And without me even prompting a question, the leader or the head of community ed that was with us said, we attribute it to UI. We were able to retain our bus drivers. Every year we struggled to get bus drivers. These are the same bus drivers that were here last year. They got unemployment this summer, or they worked, getting kids to different programs or summer school, and they're back. We actually have paras and educational assistants that were here with us the last year and the year before. And because of the fact that we see the value of them and we invest in them, they're back again. We didn't have to work hard to get a full complement of hourly workers. And they are attributing it to unemployment insurance. So it's working, everybody. It is absolutely working. And with all the other struggles that we have in funding our education in these days and age, unemployment is not the problem. Unemployment is the answer. It's the answer to continuity. It's the answer to retention and the relationships that our kids have with those that are helping them the hardest. And we might hear the grumblings of administrators, but I really don't understand those few administrators that are barking the hardest, because I'm not hearing that from more and more and more schools. And so to say that this is not a priority is really a hurtful thing when I know so many of those people that are benefiting from it and now say, I can come back and work in the summer because I know I'm going to get a little bit extra that's going to get me through the summer. And so if you are one of those people that would not have the courage to go back and look at those hourly workers and say, you were not my priority, I did not vote for these benefits, you go ahead and vote red. But for those of you who appreciate and understand the value of this investment, I encourage all of you to vote green.
I recognize we have a list. Senator Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm excited to vote for this. I think it's something wonderful that we've been able to do. And I wanted to speak specifically to a couple days ago, I said I'm hearing a lot of false equivalencies, it seems like, this session. There was a point during the debate today, it was like, well, let's take funding from this and we can put it toward disability services. Let me be abundantly clear, as a parent of a neurodiverse child, this is a form of disability services. My child, when he was first placed in my home, was in a special ed program at a different school. We got busing. That bus driver knew the name of everyone in my family, knew that I had 2 kids the same age. He and the paras that were on the bus were amazing. He'd even bring Christmas presents and get one for the child that he wasn't busing, bent over backwards. Years later, my kids still remember how amazing that bus driver was. The paraprofessionals are the ones that when especially my neurodiverse child was a little younger and would occasionally tend to stray on his way to the cafeteria or the bathroom, they were the ones that were there holding his hand, keeping him on track, making sure our kids were taken care of. And here's the important thing. Those are the types of people that we need to retain. So we should be doing this not just because it's the right thing for workers and making sure that they can afford insurance and their families and feed themselves, but if we're really thinking about all the kids in school, especially the ones that need a little extra help, they thrive on consistency. They want to see those same familiar faces year after year, because sometimes, depending on what's going on with that child, that's a huge trust issue. And they've built trust with those people, and so we want to retain them. We want to do the right thing. So I would say this is absolutely something that does benefit our kids of all different abilities, because these are some of the people that are the backbone of our schools and our facilities, and they deserve it both for themselves, but because of all the things they do for our children. Thank you.
Members, just a gentle reminder, we have a growing list, and we have a full day of other things that we have to do today, just as a gentle reminder. Senator Hochschild.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, just want to say thank you to Senator McEwen for her leadership on this issue. I know that she pushed really hard in 2023 to establish this for our seasonal workforce in our schools, and I'm really appreciative of that. What I want to talk about is just sort of the interesting, evolving nature of this debate. First, from our colleagues across the aisle, it was, well, no, don't do this. Don't provide this benefit for these hourly workers at our schools. Then it became, well, make sure it's funded, which I agree with. I do think that we should fund this. I do think that it helps make sure that our schools can focus their resources on other things. And we have done that as a Senate DFL. We have funded this program in 2023, and now we are coming up with another way to fund it this year. But it's interesting because the idea was, well, just figure out a way to fund it. So then we said, okay, we'll take from a program you don't like. We'll take from NLX. How's that sound? And yet we still hear from folks across the aisle that that's still not good enough. That taking from a project that they fundamentally oppose is still not good enough to provide the funding needed to our schools to provide hourly workers with unemployment insurance. Think about that. We have bent over backwards to figure this out so that we can come to a compromise to benefit workers. Maybe, just maybe, folks don't think that workers deserve this. Maybe that's the problem here. My son, Henry, is going to start kindergarten here in the fall, and we recently did his orientation. And his most excited point was not just meeting the teachers, which was exciting, or going to the gym. His most exciting moment was getting to go on the bus for the first time and meeting that bus driver. And that was really important for him, because my son's a little shy, and I'm a little nervous about him getting on the bus. I mean, part of the time I'll probably be here in the legislature, and I need to know that he trusts that bus driver to pick him up in the morning and bring him to school. These folks are providing a fundamental service for our kids, and there is absolutely no reason that they should be not allowed to collect unemployment like other workers. It's a simple fairness issue, and I'll give you another example. Recently on the floor, Senator Farnsworth and I fought very hard to provide an extension in unemployment for steel workers on the Iron Range, another issue that I am extremely passionate about. Because our steel workers need to be able to stay in our communities. Their families need to feel supported staying on the Iron Range, and their kids need to keep going to school in our communities. And if we don't provide that extension in unemployment for our steel workers, many of them will leave our region. My colleagues across the aisle joined us in that effort. So my question is, do we support extensions, not basic unemployment, extensions in unemployment for steel workers while not providing basic unemployment for other workers who just so happen to earn some of the lowest wages in our country? Think about that for a second when you are casting your vote. My dad and my stepdad are very different people. My dad has worked in retail my whole life. He wears a suit every single day to work. My stepdad is a factory worker. He's retired now, but he worked in the Bobcat factory for over 40 years in Gwinner. Both of them work fundamentally different careers, one in a suit and one in factory clothes. Both of them, throughout my childhood, have been laid off. Both of them benefited from unemployment insurance. Again, it does not matter whether you wear a suit, whether you wear factory clothes, whether you go to school and drive a bus, or you teach our kids in our classroom, you deserve unemployment insurance just like any other worker. So members, if you support unemployment for steel workers, if you support unemployment for workers, These folks deserve your green vote. Vote green, members. Thank you.
We're on final passage of House File 1143. Senator Port.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to, say that I'm really proud to vote for this bill. I think this is good policy to ensure that these workers who care for our children have unemployment insurance because they are seasonal workers, and that continuity of keeping folks in our communities, keeping it working, is critical. I want to thank Senator McEwen for this bill, because even when she was put in a position to make a trade for policies that are both critically important to people in our state, she did not give up on these workers, and she fought to ensure that these workers have the coverage that they deserve, even though it pushed us to make a deal to take away from something else that we believe in. And I think, members, we are gonna, deals like this happen all the time in the legislature. We make trades for things, we take money from one thing to pay for another thing. But I think probably we're gonna see on the final board that did not earn us the votes from our colleagues across the aisle. And I think it's a good reminder to remember, Minnesota has the wealth to pay for things like unemployment insurance for people who make $9 an hour or $12 an hour, doing critically important work for our children. That's a thing that is good policy. And we have the wealth to pay for a program like that. What we don't have is the political will to pay for a program like that. And senators like Senator McEwen do have that political will and are willing to go to bat for it. And I applaud the passion with which she has led this conversation, because it should be centered on these people, on these workers. And, we are choosing as a body to continue to allow mortgage tax reductions for second, third, and fourth homes. We are choosing to have tax breaks for data centers. We are choosing, to have breaks for private equity and multinational corporations that are scraping from our workers, taking that wealth. And in this position that we are in, we are having to trade good funding for a transportation project that this body passed. That is a shame. But I am proud to say that we found a path today to support these workers. And I hope as we move forward as a body, we think about the long-term way, because we shouldn't do this with one-time money. We should do this permanently. And there is paths for us to do that. We just have to have the political will to stand with these workers and find a real long-term solution for it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, it's been quite a wide-ranging discussion about the bill before us today. And let me just acknowledge some of the comments that were made on this floor. Be rest assured, members, that I am strongly supporting paraprofessionals. I think we all do. We have experience with the value of our hourly workers in our school, either as parents, you see that, as we've heard on this floor, or as employees yourself. I can tell you personally that the paraprofessional, when I first started teaching special education, was monumental. I could still remember her name, Dolores. She was phenomenal. Not only helping me as my first year as a special education teacher, but helping the students immensely. Later on, I went on to become a Title I teacher. Again, I had fantastic paras working with me and with students. So this discussion that we're having today, lest anyone think it's about whether paraprofessionals are worthwhile or not, I seem to hear that from some folks who were speaking. That is not true. Paraprofessionals, hourly workers are incredibly important in our school districts. So let no one dissuade you from that. But the real question is, how was this additional benefit of unemployment insurance eligibility for part-time workers in our schools who are signed up to work 9 months out of the year, and that is the contract, how were those benefits paid for? Well, herein is the rub, members. The problem is, in 2023, this legislature mandated hourly workers be UI eligible, and yet our school districts who pay those UI premiums were not eligible to levy or go to the taxpayers to fund those premiums. So what happens? Well, then the legislature at that time, the one-party controlled legislature and governor, actually said, we're going to solve this issue and we're going to fund this with $135 million. And they did fund this with $135 million for one time. And that's the problem, members. That's why we're back here today. They funded an ongoing benefit with one-time money. That does not work. That's why we are here today. And while this might not be a perfect solution, it is a solution to make sure that we keep those hourly employees in our schools. And I would be remiss, Mr. President, if I did not say that it remains a problem for our schools, not just because of the funding, which we're going to help with today, but our schools cannot get the employees that they need now for the many summer programs that they run. So there is more work to do, but members, the bill in front of us today is a good step in the right direction, and I encourage a green vote.
Any other discussion before I go to the author of the bill? Senator Rarick.
Thank you, Mr. President. Real quick, I just received an email as we were having this discussion from someone who's actually watching what's happening here. And this gentleman just happens to be someone who filed a run against me for this very seat for my first time up for re-election. He's very, very involved in our community up there, and one of the jobs that he happens to have as well is that of a school bus driver. And here's what he emailed me, Mr. President. I haven't heard any employees in our district want UI. What I have heard is folks have their summer jobs lined up once the school year ends. Mr. President, that's what we heard repeatedly when this first came in front of us. Very few people will actually need or want this. Mr. President, I have never been afraid to go into a school and talk to whoever wants to talk to me, or when people come here to the Capitol to talk about these issues, and tell them exactly where I stand on this. And they've been very understanding because most of the people in my district believe just like this gentleman does. But unfortunately, what we hear and what we have seen, and the reason we have this bill in front of us to add another $100 million in, is that it isn't just a very small number of people who, when they really need it, are using this benefit. What we have heard from our school districts is a growing number are just using it and then not taking a summer position with the school or some of the other jobs they used to take. That was never how this was presented in the original plan and when the bill first came forward. That is why I had offered the amendment for the sunset and why I believe there are other ways to deal with this. And when we hear about this, realize not everyone who was a bus driver or a hourly worker at our school is asking for this. They know we value them. They know we are doing our best, that their schools are doing their best. So keep that in mind. A no vote on this because we're not following the process, like I said earlier, the way I believe we should, is not in any way telling our school workers or our schools that we don't value them or that we don't see their need in their funding.
Senator McEwen, you are the final word because we're on final passage of House File 1143. Senator McEwen.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I'll be brief. We have had a wide-ranging debate today, and I think that's proper, actually. And I understand that some colleagues felt that I was going far afield when I was talking about taxation and when I was talking about who pays and whether it's fair and how we pay for things. But in my mind, this is the core of what this bill does raise. These are the questions that we deal with at the legislature, is how do we stretch the monies that come in to the state to meet all of the needs of our state, to meet all the needs of the people of our state. And when we are not taxing the wealthy appropriately, when we have spent decades giving tax breaks to corporate actors, to the wealthiest people in our society, and often it's done in the name of creating more jobs. It's a trickle-down theory that we've been dealing with since the Reagan era in the 80s, where the idea is we use public money, we use the public's money to incentivize the wealthy, to incentivize the owner class, to incentivize millionaires and billionaires to do more business that we think will result in having more jobs for our communities, or we think will result in more economic activity. So again and again, we have seen over decades tax breaks for the wealthiest in our state, tax breaks for corporations, tons of loopholes, tons of exemptions, so that a disproportionate amount, a wrong amount, an unfair amount of the tax burden falls on the working class in this state. And as we go forward, we are going to have some good debates about what the proper way is to pay to make sure that these rights are honored going forward. It's not always the answer for every school district to levy. There are some school districts for which that wouldn't be too much of a lift. They could do that, and their communities have the wealth to be able to do that. But there are other school districts that would have a real problem going to the taxpayers locally and saying, we'd like a little bit of an increase because we need to make sure the rights of these workers are honored in our community. And the community may say, well, us too, but we just simply can't keep paying higher property taxes. The answer is not making local people pay more property taxes. The answer is taxing the rich. The answer is taxing the rich, not going to people on fixed incomes who happen to own a home and asking them to pay higher property taxes. One thing that does give me comfort in bringing this bill is that the Northern Lights Express project, although we are making a substantial cancellation because of this austerity that is being imposed upon the people of Minnesota, making working people fight for the scraps. Because of that, we are making the cancellation to the NLX and making sure that we are honoring the rights of these workers. The Northern Lights Express project is still alive and well. Efforts are happening right now to try to work with the federal administration to move this project forward, and the hope is absolutely still alive that this project will move forward. So I am hopeful in that, and that does give me some comfort. And I encourage people, if they have questions about the Northern Lights Express, how to get involved in the efforts, please consider my office a resource to put you in touch with the people who are working on that, because there have been efforts, as I noted in my opening comments, for over a decade now of many people across the Northland who really want to see this project move forward. It would open up the possibility of veterans who live up in northeastern Minnesota who don't maybe have the ability to drive down to the VA in the Twin Cities to be able to take the train and have other options. And increasingly, people don't want to be chained down to cars. They just don't want that anymore. They want other options. They want to be able to come down to the cities for the day, to see a ball game, to go shopping at the malls, to enjoy the things in a larger metropolitan area. And likewise, people down in the cities, they maybe don't want to deal with the traffic on I-35 going up north. They want to hop on the train, go up to Duluth, hit the beach, check out the North Shore, do the Duluth stuff for the day or the weekend and come home. People want to be able to commute for work, all sorts of reasons that this is a great, great project that has received also, I should say, in spite of some of my colleagues across the aisle who have had a very strong opposition to this. Up in northern Minnesota, this is a bipartisan effort, up in St. Louis County, up in my neck of the woods. So I appreciate the debate today. It is ongoing and we'll continue it. I want to say that this is a good bill, but I don't know if I can go that far. I would say that it is a necessary bill. So with that, I ask for your support. Thank you.
The Secretary take the roll on final passage of House File 1143. Senator Bowden, for those voting pursuant to Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Mann votes aye.
Senator Mann votes aye.
Senator Fate votes aye.
Senator Fate votes aye.
Senator Pa votes aye.
Senator Pa votes aye.
Senator Rest votes aye.
Senator Rest votes aye.
Senator Herr votes aye.
Senator Herr votes aye.
Senator Latz votes aye.
Senator Latz votes aye.
And Senator Muhammad votes aye.
And Senator Muhammad votes aye. Senator Jasinski, are you ready? Oh, okay. Once you're ready, just please stand up. Senator Jasinski, for those voting pursuant to Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Coleman votes aye.
Senator Coleman votes aye.
Senator Miller votes aye.
And Senator Miller votes aye. All senators having voted who desires to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There have been 44 ayes and 23 noes. The bill is passed and its title agreed to. Senator Murphy for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to move a recess, and I'm going to explain why, and then maybe answer a question from Leader Johnson. Okay. My intention here is that we recess. The House is taking up a couple of proposals. They're taking up ag, and we hope they're going to take up judiciary, public safety, and legacy. And so my hope and intention is that we take a recess now. Dear fellows, we're going to caucus to talk about those proposals, and that perhaps we come back around 5:30, but at the call of the president, to continue the work on the conference committees that are coming over from the House.
Senator Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. President. And so one of my two questions, well, I guess my two questions have been answered. After the motion and the recess, we will go up and caucus in 324. Republicans will be up there. Thank you.
Senator Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move a recess to the call of the president at approximately, thinking approximately around 5:30.
To that motion, all in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion prevails. The Senate is in recess to the call of the president.